You do not need motivation. You just lack the discipline to do anything. Galatians chapter 12 verse 11 says, "No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It's painful, but afterward there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way." As for me, I've just finished school, and those who are also my age that are finishing school, you realize that school was a backbone. It was a structure that you could build off of, where you knew the set tasks you had to do every day. But once that goes away, and I've experienced that firsthand for myself, that you need to create something yourself. No one's going to come and create a structure for you that you can build off of. And you already know that you're going to have to do it yourself. You already know that no one's going to push you forward to do anything. Well, sure, you might have people motivating you, telling you, come on man, go do this, like your parents or your friends or whatever. But you actually are going to have to create that structure, that golden routine that you build off of. Now, I don't know what that might be for you, but that's also for you to figure out. That's a part of the journey. You're going to have to create yourself a set of rules to follow, a daily checklist of things you must complete in order to get where you want to be. All right. This is the main thing I want to tell you right now. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is a characteristic, and only you can train your discipline. But that being said, how do you do that? Well, it's pretty simple, yet hard to follow every day. And here's what Google says about discipline. Discipline is the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior with punishment or other undesired consequences for those failing to comply. To this, it seems like it's saying discipline is something that other people do to you. Now let's look up what self-discipline is. Now, self-discipline is a very much different thing. Here it says it's the ability to control one's feelings and overcome one's weaknesses. Self-control, self-mastery, restraint, being able to restrain yourself from temptations like that delicious looking donut, eating that ice cream, not waking up early, not going to the gym. All these things, simple as that. Yet I say they're so simple, but yet why is it so hard for us to do them? Because all these ridiculously simple tasks, simple but not easy is the key word, like waking up early, reading your Bible, going to the gym, they're so simple that a 10-year-old knows what those things are. But the hard part is the invisible voices in your mind saying, oh, I'll do it later, let's do it tomorrow, oh, I can skip a day, let me just do a quick scroll to get my mind off things. And it's this very thing, that voice telling you to do it later, that's the devil, because he does not want you to succeed. God has planned many great things in our lives, and it's this very laziness, these evil thoughts in our mind that stop us from reaching that full potential God has placed for us. And of course, because God has gave us these good things, these good blessings that we don't have yet, but we can have. Of course, the enemy, the devil, would want the opposite of that. So he stops us from even getting anywhere near those things. So I've been telling you up to this point to tell you what is self-discipline and why it's important. Now you might be asking, how do I self-discipline myself? And you're asking all the right questions, but I feel like this journey through life is one where it's best where we figure things out for ourselves. One clear enemy that I can see is trying to do things the easiest way, doing things without trying to gain the experience. Self-discipline will come once you realize how boring and how much your life sucks without it. Because I'll be honest, this past week, I've been feeling miserable because I haven't been keeping up with my schedule. I haven't been living disciplined, and I've been wasting my time watching short form videos and giving my energy away to those things that are stopping me from reaching the high potential that God has planned for me. And God has something planned for you too. And the things that you do is dishonoring God because you're just fine with settling for those things, the instant gratification you get from doing those quick dopamine things. Now, once you, I guess, the only way to put it is hate yourself enough to where, man, I cannot live with this person. The person in your mind or in your heart is different to the person that actually lives in the physical world. Now, once those two are in the constant battle, and once the battle becomes so great that the person from the outside is winning, the person from the inside is like, no, I've had enough. I want to do something about this. And this is what you need to have. You need to have this point of hitting like the rock bottom where you get down and you can't go further. You don't want to go further. And you look up and you see a hand reach out to you and you take this hand. But then he's like, all right, now you know where to go. Now you have to go walk the staircase. You have to go climb the stairs. God's not going to do it for you. Now here are some things on why self-discipline feels hard. Because your brain prefers the certainty over growth. Your brain fears judgment. Your brain loves the comfort zone. And my friend, if you stick in the comfort zone your whole life, you're never going to be in those places you see other people at. Those people had to get out their comfort zones. They had to go take action in those things where they might get judged for. And then after years of doing the same thing over, people telling you it's not going to work, failures after failures, then do you see the end result. And man, is it beautiful. So even Paul struggled with this. In Romans chapter 7, verse 14, it says, "So the trouble is not with the law, for it is spiritual and good. The trouble is with me, for I am all too human, a slave to sin. I don't really understand myself, for I want to do what is right, but I don't do it. Instead, I do what I hate." I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure you as well can say that you know what you have to do, the things that you love, reading the word, having fellowship with other brothers, yet you do what you hate. You go and fall into temptation, you go sin. Now, I hate sin. I'm sure you hate sin as well. Why do you do it? And that's not really an answerable question. But even Paul struggled with this. And I think this is the flesh that we have to fight. This is the daily battle that we have. The battle of voices whispering in your head, do it later. To just put it aside, don't worry about that. You know, why work hard when you can just settle for less? But no, that's the exact thing that the devil wants. He doesn't want you doing anything greater than just doing what you're doing now. He doesn't want you going and taking action when he can just have you scrolling reels and taking in all this junk from the internet. If you're a strict person, like your diet, you know, you like work out, like you're careful with what you put in your mouth. But are you careful with what you put into your mind through your eyes, the things you watch, the things you listen to? These things affect the outputs of our actions based on what we see. Our opinions are formed from what we see, the things we hear. We were not born with opinions. We gather information as humans and we reason in our minds, and that's how brainwashing works. You are formed to an image that you see every day. You scroll reels every day, you know, and eventually you become the things you watch. Now, obviously, you might say that, oh, I watch those motivational reels, you know. Oh, I'm watching the Bible verses, you know, Christian stuff. But, I mean, come on, how much longer can you just consume and take in and not put anything out? Not actually put energy into doing something, creating something. How much longer are you just gonna consume all this stuff? Now, there's no point of me just telling you off for not being disciplined or being too lazy. But if I had one piece of advice that I can give to you from my own perspective and what I've been struggling with, is to hate your laziness so much that you can't bear it anymore and you literally don't feel good. You literally feel sad whenever you do fall into laziness. And this is not a healthy thing if you keep living to this. Now, this is the thing implanted in our minds. This is what God has given us to make sure we don't keep repeating ourselves. But I'm just saying that if you're at a point where you feel like you're procrastinating with your life too much, then I just want to tell you that you're not at a breaking point. You're at a reversal point where you have the opportunity to turn around. But if you keep going, it's just going to get worse and worse. So the one piece of advice I would have is find someone you can be accountable to, whether that be a parent or a friend. Now, I'm speaking from experience, that just even the thought in your mind where, oh, this guy's gonna make sure I've done this today, and if I don't, oh, I'm gonna feel bad. But don't take that as motivation, although for the moment you feel like you might need it, because motivation, like I said, is fleeting. It does not last long. It might last 2-3 weeks and that's it. But discipline, like I said, is a characteristic. It sticks with you. Discipline is worth more than any amount of profit, any amount of money, because if you're rich but you don't have discipline, then imagine a person who's undisciplined, someone who acts out their feelings, someone who has no self-control. Imagine an undisciplined person won the lottery. That person will probably end up being broke in a couple months. Now, that's why I think the journey is the best refining tool that we have in our life. God has given us this life to actually do something with it. He's given us these struggles, these times of hardship, to actually refine us and mold us into the image He wants us to be. And if you're not careful with what you do with your time, what you do every day, what your energy is going towards, then after a while, those days are gonna add up like debt. Like a credit card that is so insanely overdrafted that you see the number and it makes you faint. Now, if every day is done with discipline, it's like an investment. It compounds every day. You don't just grow a certain number amount, but it's a percentage that grows, and it grows like an exponential graph. Like this one. This is what small steps taken daily look like. It may not look like a lot at first, but in the span of 3-5 years, that's gonna be a lot. Now take this one message from me today. Do not look for the next motivational video that you need to watch. Put the screen away and search for discipline. Look what it means to discipline yourself, because as you get older, no one's gonna be pushing you around to do anything. And that is why so many people fail at what they do, because they cannot keep themselves doing the one thing that they put their minds to. They cannot focus on one plan for even a couple months, let alone a couple weeks. But anyway, just do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. And I know that it might seem controversial, but you will need someone who gives you motivation, because sometimes you do need it, although it's not good to always be seeking it. Most of the time, the situation you're in, you would have been better off if you had discipline in that situation. So my friend, look for discipline. Look what it means to be disciplined. Do your own research. I cannot be someone who pushes you along to do something. I don't want to be one of those people who just preaches motivation. I want to be someone who actually makes you think. Someone who's, hold on, what am I doing with my life? You know, I want to give you those kind of thoughts. Well, if you had to take away one thing from this video, I mean, I've already said that a couple of times. Just do what you have to do. You know what you have to do. So just do it. Stop procrastinating. Stop letting laziness get the better half of you. And just do it, because as a man of God, you're called to work hard. You're meant to be busy as a man. You're meant to be stressed, knowing that if you don't sum up to a certain level, then you failed. You've been called to provide for more people than just yourself. Provide for your brothers and sisters, provide for your community, and just be a man of God. Figure out what that means, because this is a big thing. All it is just seeking to be better, not for the gain of like self, like pride and whatnot, to be able to say like, oh, I'm better. But no, because as a man, you should want to get better. You should want to improve from yesterday. You should want to, I did this yesterday, I won't do that, I'll do this instead. Well, remember guys, you only get this short life. You only get one life, and it's a vapor. The Bible says a life is but a vapor, and once you're gone, the things you've done are either going to be the failures that people remember you for, or the steps that you took along the way to get to where you were. Because it's not counted as a loss or a failure if you keep going. It's only a failure if you give up. If you keep going, then that means that was just a learning experience. So please just keep going at what you're doing. And well, remember guys, someone's always watching.